Hi, welcome to this week's episode of Retirement Readiness Podcast. Today we're talking about a financial advisor and an accountant, and do you want them to be the same person? Let's dive in.
The Retirement Readiness Podcast with Tim Regan and Katie Umland. Presented by PrairieView Wealth and Tax Advisors. Live your 2-comma life.
So that's exciting.
Exciting.
Wow.
You know what? Maybe we should really think about this because I think that's how we start every episode is like, oh man, we have some riveting content today. Like maybe if every topic we feel that way.
Yeah. Well, that's right. I think just your natural personality just livens it up anyway.
It
so,
does.
yeah. It takes care of the problem. Well, and I think really the conversation is, in my mind, why do I have two people that I now am talking to in separate kind of silos?
Mhm.
It kind of seems like they're both supposed to be doing some similar stuff.
Yep.
Should I be talking to two different people? Should I have one person just
And I feel like whenever you're talking to one, they always are saying like, talk to the other person about that.
for sure?
Or like you're kind of getting ping ponged a little bit back and forth. And
Absolutely.
you're like trying to relay messages, but you're like, I don't really understand what I'm supposed to be asking.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that I like to think about sometimes is when Sarah and I built our house, we had a landscaper come out and he had done like a landscaping design, and he was trying to sell us sprinklers as well. And I'm thinking, you're a landscaper, are you really the sprinkler guy? Should you? But then he came back to me, and it was really appropriate. And ultimately, me and he and I ended up being really pretty good friends. Uh, and he said, if you have the sprinkler guy put in the sprinklers and I put in the sod, if your sod doesn't make it, I'm going to tell you it's a sprinkler problem, and your sprinkler guy's going to tell you it's a sod problem.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's like, and so here you have one person to come talk to that
Yeah.
can coordinate everything and make sure that it comes out right. And I think a lot about the same thing with our professional advisor lives, right? My attorney, my accountant, my financial advisor. I can kind of have this, if they're not coordinated, it can get kind of sloppy.
Mhm.
And am I getting the best result that I could? Or should I try to consolidate some of those things and do them all in the same house?
Well, and that's kind of similar to getting off of accounting. Like you also have a company that you use that writes um, now I can't think of it. The
Estate plans?
estate plans.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and I would have helped you sooner than
if I gave you anything.
Yeah, anything. Yeah. It wasn't just me wanting to watch you be painful. And
but this,
maybe let's have a couple more drinks.
I know. Or maybe I should have changed what's inside the
Yes,
cup.
yes, absolutely. Or just added to it.
Okay, so more concisely, you also, and it's similar to an accountant, you also use a software that helps build estate plans.
Correct.
So you don't have to, as a client, you don't have to tell your clients, hey, go find somebody that can write an estate plan.
Yeah, 100%. What happens is ultimately, like if you go down that estate planning route, I can tell you what's going to happen. You and I are going to sit down today, and we're going to uncover that you don't have the appropriate estate documents. And we're going to say, hey, you know what? You should go do that. By the way, here's a list of 3 attorneys that we know. We like them. You should go talk to them. Next year, we're going to sit down to review. We're going to say, how's your estate plan?
Yeah.
Oh, you need an
I
estate
forgot.
plan.
Yeah.
Here's the list of 3 attorneys again. You go out. And so what happens is by us being able to coordinate it all in-house, that really turns into us saying, okay, you're here. Let's get this process started
Mhm.
today so that a year from now, we're not saying the same thing. A year from now, we're saying it's done.
And ultimately, it's actually caring for your clients. Like
100%.
because it's one thing to get advice but the follow through, like you're actually making sure they're protected.
Absolutely. Well, and what ultimately happens there too, just as an aside, and I know we talked about the accounting thing, but I think this ties in perfectly. With an estate plan, many times people have a trust. That trust is a document that tells people what to do with the things that are in the trust. If you don't put anything in the trust,
Yeah,
it
it's
does
useless.
you no good. It's
Yeah.
it's a vessel that says do X, Y, and Z with the things in the trust, but there's nothing here, so it doesn't do anything. And what happens many times when it's disjointed and we say, hey, go talk to the attorney, once the client finally talks to the attorney several meetings later, many times the documents are drafted, but there's nothing put into that trust. So now it's really didn't do you any good. So having that all done inside of one place helps to coordinate everything and make sure that it's followed through from A to Z. which your accounting can be the same.
I really wish we could get into more businesses and group them, such as
sure.
a periodontist and a dentist.
Yes.
Like,
why they're not the
why
same,
are they
I have no clue.
are not the same is so annoying to
and
me.
then those two have to then you go back to your orthodontist or your dentist, and they're like, oh, I didn't get the films yet from the periodontist, I need to.
Oh, it took 3 months to get an appointment. Well, now we have to start all over because it took 3 months, and now
how about it?
Why are we doing this?
How about it?
Like
100%.
And I don't know any of the technical words to use with anybody. Like,
yes,
we need to have more monopolies in this country.
Yeah. well, and I think that what that all kind of goes to is this sense of like hyper-specialization.
Right.
And it's just as an aside, we can go down that medical field for a second. And there's actually a very distinct time, and I'll forget when it was. I think it was early 1900s, when the medical world decided that the body is not looked at as a whole, but it's looked as a sum of its pieces.
Sure.
And what that did is it started down this path of uber specialization, and it started down this path that one of the things that Sarah and I argue about the most, not with each other, but complain about, I guess, the most within our Western medicine, is that you go to the doctor and they're like, why are you here? And you're like, well, my stomach's upset. And they're like, oh, well, here's your medication for your stomach being upset. But they didn't ask you also, like,
do you also have headaches?
Exactly.
Because
right?
If I asked you 3 more questions,
we're way over here.
Diagnosis.
And by the way, you don't need that medication. We're going to adjust your diet a little bit, and we're going to have you change your sleep patterns. And
I wish there was like, okay, now we're really getting down a
we are. And we'll get back to accountants.
But I wish there was like some few, and maybe there isn't, I'm just unaware of it, but some fuse of like Western medicine and holistic.
Yes.
If I need my appendix out, I want Western medicine. Yes. But if I have chicken pox,
or even if I'm treating cancer. Or like something, yes, 100%. And
if I need my leg amputated, I want Western medicine. Yeah. But if I do have stomach ache and headaches and lethargic, and I want some holistic.
100%. Yeah, I have inflammation in my joints and all that stuff. Yeah, it's so funny you say that. So a little sneak peek. One of the things we're building here in Frankfurt is that facility. So we're putting together, my partners in the building and I are putting together the concept around fitness meets wellness.
Sure.
And so the idea is that we'll have a place that people can come that'll have a chiropractor, they'll have a naturopath, they'll have
cold plunge.
Yeah, well, they'll have workout facility, they'll have recovery facility, but they'll also have medical practitioners that are on site, so that when you're there, you can start talking about what should my diet look like, what should my recovery look like, how should I supplement, not from a take 87 different things, but how do I know, should I be taking some supplements that maybe I'm not even thinking about type of stuff. And so we're actually looking to build that.
That's cool. I didn't know that. This wasn't like a work-in plug.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, it wasn't even meant to. So somehow we've
we found it.
Yeah, we found it. So, which is natural. I think anytime you start thinking about financial advisor and accountant, you naturally go to
first periodontist and then health and wellness.
Yeah. So if we take a hard right and go get back to the accountant and financial advisor piece, but I think that it all kind of comes together where people don't need like one-offs.
Yes.
People need somebody that can come in and say, we've got this.
Yes.
From A to Z, you don't have to worry about it. And what we found is in our industry, you end up in these like silos, and people don't fully utilize their accountant.
Right.
Really what they think of their accountant as is, who's going to help me comply with tax law? Who's going to fill out my tax return, make sure that I'm compliant? But they're not looking to that individual usually for advice. And so many times their financial advisor might be thinking the accountant's having that conversation, but the accountant's not. And then the client's stuck in the middle trying to say, well, wait a minute, I'm playing telephone in a world that I don't know the words. Because
exactly.
It's just not my
And I
world.
think it also, another benefit of having one firm doing both is, like, so many times you don't know the right question to ask your accountant. Like, is your accountant going to prompt you to say, hey, you need to spend this much more money this year or you need to buy a
Well, or even just do a Roth conversion, or like go down the list of things that, and that's really when you start thinking about, in my opinion, when you start thinking about where things start to sing, it's when you take the ownership of who has to be thinking about that off of the client's
right.
shoulders, places it on the professional shoulders.
Yes.
Now you have the right solution.
Like somebody that can tell me, hey, if you did this, these levers are gonna.
Exactly. And really it's, how do I get the most leverage? You have these professionals in your life anyway.
Right.
So why would
you're paying them the same amount of money?
Exactly.
If you
So why would we not try to maximize this and try to really, really leverage it? And that comes in different forms and varieties. I think that as people are starting out and maybe their financial situation isn't super complex, then you can have a financial advisor and an accountant, and that might be all you need, right? And having that in one place can coordinate and say, in your 401k, should you do Roth contributions or tax deductible contributions? How should you what choices should you make with your work benefits? Like, we can help with that all in one house. But as you go to the other end of the spectrum and you have a much more complicated life, we have a solution for that as well, to where we'll be your in-house bookkeeper.
Okay.
We'll pay your bills. We will, when you have contracts, we'll manage all of your contracts. We can actually help you to make sure that your investment portfolio is in alignment with what you need to have happen. So we're doing cash flow management. We'll put together a balance sheet every month.
So is this for businesses or personal, or both?
Both. Yeah, both.
Okay.
And so at that end of the spectrum, think of the person who probably has, $10 million of net worth, maybe has multiple rental properties, industrial property maybe, and so they have a lot going on. That's a lot to keep track of.
Sure.
Well, you don't have to be the one that keeps track of that.
Mm-hmm.
And you also don't have to be the one that knows that what schedule can you depreciate what at, and how does that fit into the overall? No, that can be our responsibility. But that only happens when you start bringing these services back into
all together,
one house that they can help you to do that. Even as simple as somebody says, you know what, we think we want to have rental property. Sounds great. Sounds easy. I go buy a place and I get people in there. Well, what liability are you taking on? Should it be owned inside of your trust or individually? Should you own it in an LLC? Those can be decisions that have a pretty big effect on, is this really going to be, am I maximizing this or not? And to try to have the individual become the expert and go between their advisors, and it falls apart pretty quick.
So I could see somebody who, isn't your sister and trusts you saying, okay, the benefit of having different professionals is kind of a checks and balances.
Sure.
So it could be it could be very easy for having one firm do kind of being eyes on all of your finances and being the only eyes on your finances to
100%. And so
to get fancy with it.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Or what's your opinion?
I think there's a couple of thoughts with it. First, you just have to look at what the protocol is, right? I mean, we have written protocol that says, here's how we manage your affairs, and here's where you have control, and here's where we can act on your behalf. But ultimately, we're reporting to you every month, and so you get to see completely what's going on. The other question that I would ask, kind of in reverse, would be, that could be theoretically true that you have checks and balances, but if neither one knows what the other is doing, how much are they checking and balancing?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And if anything, it's worse because you think that there's checks and balances and there aren't. So you think somebody is checking.
No, exactly. And so the example I like to use with that is, if you think about, many people will have, let's just look at the investment world. They'll have a 401k that from the place that they're currently working at. They may have a 401k from an old place that they've never done anything with, and it's just kind of floating out there. And then they have this account that their grandma started for them when they were a kid that's also out there. Not to mention the fact that they have a spouse who has a similar setup. So they have 6 different accounts, as an example. Each one of those 6 accounts has investments with different names. One says ABC Growth Fund. The other one says 123 Growth Fund. The next one says XYZ, right? And so it looks like, man, I got 6 different accounts. I am diversified, except that all of those ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and XYZs are investing in the exact same things. You have no diversification, but you had that false sense that you did because I've got a lot of different accounts. I've got a lot of different names that are there. And it's very similar here. I think I've got a lot of different advisors who might be giving me different advice, but I don't realize that it's not as thorough as I thought it was.
I was actually more talking about like fraud.
Yes, I know.
Oh, so
the same way, right? So think about that the same way. If you thought that you had an advisor that is over here, your financial advisor, and they're handling your investments, and your accountant's handling your taxes, you think you're protected, just like you thought 1, 2, 3, and ABC were diversified. However, those two aren't talking. This one really isn't looking over, so you're no better off than if you were.
Same thing. Like you think it's checks and balances, and it's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, and there too, like I kind of go back to Andrew Carnegie, I think is the one who said it. Everybody talks about don't put all your eggs in one basket, and his philosophy is the opposite. Pick a winner, put all of your eggs in that basket, then guard the basket, right? And so what you have to look at is say, for us and for my financial picture, do I want to have coordination? Do I want to make sure that everything's being looked at proactively? And then I just have to put safeguards in place to make sure that that basket is protected. And from our perspective, the benefits to doing that far outweigh having this perceived sense of being protected because you feel like you're diversified more.
So you were talking about like businesses and bookkeeping for either businesses or personal that like have kind of a lot going on. What about like people that are older that don't want to or can't take care of their own?
Yeah, for sure. We can play a role there. The 100%. That is a place that we can step in. The biggest thing is just, again, making sure that you're working with somebody that has the wherewithal to keep an eye on it, right? And so we would probably want to work with a power of attorney to make sure that power of attorney that when we're reporting back that says here's what's going on, somebody has eyes on it and that kind of stuff. Because also, in this, we open ourselves up to a lot of vulnerability as well. Because if somebody decides that they want to say, hey, what happened here and why did this happen? We're taking risks there, right? And so we would want to make sure that whomever we're working with is also doing those checks and balances because we're not looking to have any vulnerability there either.
Yeah. So. Okay. I was just curious, like if that's something that you're going, a path you guys are going down.
It's not a primary path. It is a path that we can. Really in that world, what I'm thinking about is it's almost like, Katie, if you think about you and Alex, how easy is it to have groceries delivered? Way easier.
Easy, yeah.
Right?
So much easier.
And so what can happen is your money can eventually start getting that way. Where Alex right now, I don't know, probably always will. He'll have 8 spreadsheets that's keeping track of stuff.
Yeah.
But there may come a point in time where you're like, listen, all these kids, we have grown financially, and so our financial life is a little more complicated. We're not staying on top of it, at least not the way that we think we should, nor do we want to. That's the reason why I have somebody mow my grass, right?
Exactly.
Not the thing I want to do. And so I can now hire somebody that can come and manage my financial affairs, making sure they're staying on top of it, making sure everything is coordinated, and taking that off of my plate. So now I can focus on the things that give me higher and better value in my life. So, yeah. So from our perspective, which is part of the reason why you see that we recently purchased an accounting firm. I say recently; it's been several months now. But
I was just going to say, have we announced that you have a Cincinnati accounting office?
We have a Cincinnati office.
That's exciting.
It is exciting. Yeah, Timmy's excited, right? He's there every day.
Yeah, so that's where cool. Timmy goes to school is Cincinnati, and
for a little bit of
finishing
time
up in the spring and then staying there.
Yes, much to Sarah's chagrin, of course. But
so is it? I know it's an accounting firm. Is it going to be also PrairieView Wealth also, or is it just going to stay?
Yeah, so we technically have two different businesses, PrairieView Wealth, PrairieView Tax, but those businesses will come together, and that's what you notice we now our business or do business name is PrairieView Wealth and Tax Advisors, because again, the more we can have coordination, consolidation, the better off our clients are going to be. Many times we're giving clients tax advice, but we're not executing on that because that wasn't a business we were in, and now we can just complete the circle and make
It's
sure
awesome. It's the
taken care
same
of.
thing like you said, like you should be doing this, and then you hand it off and hope that they execute on it. But that's awesome that you guys can just like full circle.
100%. Yeah, and so the idea would be that as people come in, regardless of where they need to meet, we need to meet them at, we're ready to do that and ready to do it in a way that is comprehensive, full circle. So to your point, that's what we started offering the estate planning work. That's why now we'll start doing some of the tax compliance work as well as the accounting work. So we're looking forward to it. Yeah. And so many times at the end of the day, our encouragement is make sure you do have a tax professional, whether it's us, whether it's coordinated, you should at least have a tax professional. Make sure you do have a financial advisor. Make sure you do have some legal support, not just for estate planning stuff, but for other things. And if you're looking for a place that can help put all of that into one package, that is what we're here to do. But regardless if you do or not, you need to have all three of those advisors as part of your team.
Good advice.
So we'll see. So tell me about Twinskies.
They are almost 6 months old, and it is starting to get wild.
I can imagine. Are they starting to army crawl at all, or
not quite yet? Weston is close. Our neighbor gave us a name of her cousin that was in college and was home on break looking for some work.
Yeah.
And she's like a nanny and babysitter and stuff. So she's been over a lot, and I can't go back. The days that she's not around, it is like, it's so hard.
Yeah.
I told Alex, I'm like, oh man, we shouldn't have done this because it is so much better with them.
Yeah. Well, I can only imagine that because you got Dill, who's got no school right now.
No.
Probably no sports going on right now. So he's around constantly.
Yeah.
And so just there's a lot of that chaos.
And he's old enough that he has things that he wants to do.
Sure.
Like he wants to go outside and play.
Yeah.
But the babies are up. It's 20 degrees outside. I can't bring.
By the time I get you all dressed,
Quinny dressed, and I can't bring these babies outside. Like they don't want to be just sitting in their stroller anymore.
Yeah.
So that part, balancing everybody having things that they want to do is.
Well, it'll be, especially wintertime, right? It'll be much better spring, summer hit. You get the pool open and you can kind of just be outside all the time.
Alex and I invested in a giant bounce house that takes up our entire basement.
Awesome.
So they spend a lot of time down there, which is nice.
Well, that's cool.
All your kids we're here for several weeks.
We're here for a while to head back and
straggle back.
Yeah. And it's funny, Sarah and I were just talking about how quickly you go from dreading empty nesting to now you're like, the kids when they're
back
here
and they're messing up my
plans. The whole plan, the whole routine, especially for Sarah, she's struggled a little bit with when the kids went to school and we're all gone. She's like, all of my routines are gone.
Right.
I had routines.
To make a new routine.
And now that she's starting to get back into a different routine, for them to come home and say, now everything is completely different again.
Well, and like I remember being in college and feeling so weird being away at school, and then you come home and it's like you have two lives.
Yep.
And it's really hard to balance this feeling
100%.
of like it takes a while to like feel like you fit back at home again.
Yep.
And then once you do, you kind of get used to it again. But I would imagine that you guys feel the same.
Oh, 100%. Well, and what's crazy is like we got into this routine, probably a bad routine. We've talked about it before, but we literally eat out 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
Well, that's great when it's Sarah and I. Well, now the kids are complaining. Can't we just have a home cooked meal? And we're like, all right, whatever. And then
fine, can you do it?
Yeah, exactly. And then because we're used to the house is clean and it stays that way.
Right.
And now it's not. And not to mention the fact that now when we're going out to eat 4 or 5 times a week, my bill just doubled. It's exactly. And so we're just trying to figure out what normal is and what that looks like.
And you guys are spending some time away.
That's
exciting.
We are, yeah. Sarah and I will be spending a couple weeks in Grand Cayman.
That's awesome.
Month of February.
Really the first time you guys have done a
couple weeks,
like a longer
trip. Yeah. We've done those road trips. Done the road trips when the kids were little, but not just Sarah and I. And it's a trial run. My goal has always been to spend the month of February somewhere warm. I think that'd be really good for us. And so we're doing 2 weeks, see where that goes, and see if we can kind of let it expand.
Are you doing like there. Resort, or are you
trying
like a?
We did like Airbnb kind of deal. We've got a 2-bedroom condo. We told the kids whoever wanted to pay for their airfare could come down. We got room so they could hang with us during the 2 weeks if they wanted at some point. But that way, because the hard part about resort for that length of time is, I know we'd like to go out to eat, but at some point I want to be able to cook.
And it's the same food.
It is.
After a week, it's like,
okay. I'm ready. Yeah. And I don't need to have to go to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I can, spread that out a little bit too. So, so it's exciting, and hopefully it'll be everything we're hoping it is.
And maybe next year you can fly yourselves there.
That'll be a plan.
Okay.
So,
well,
awesome.
Thanks for joining us this week. We hope you tune in next time.
Be well.
The Retirement Readiness Podcast with Tim Regan and Katie Umland. Presented by PrairieView Wealth and Tax Advisors. Live your 2-comma life. Learn more at pv-wp.com. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the Retirement Readiness Podcast on your preferred podcast platform.